Hello everyone, this is Chaff Commander Coffee, back with a new series of Civilization 4 Realism Invictus. We've finished our campaign as Mongolia. That was a while ago actually. I want to say that I apologise for I've said this in some of my other videos that I've recently uploaded. I apologise for my lack of videos over the past few weeks. I've been quite ill, and I had a bunch of overtime at work, and it was my birthday as well, so I've been really busy or just unable to record anything. But that will hopefully change with the coming weeks, and I can start getting another series of Realism Invictus on the channel. And we'll see how it goes. Because I've changed a few things about this one, which I perhaps didn't quite like as much as I thought I would with the Mongolia campaign, and we're going to be playing a bit more of a standard game of Civ. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It's still going to be good fun, but it will be a fair bit harder for a number of reasons. I will talk about that in the game settings. So the first thing that I've decided to change is we will be playing on Terra. This is a Civilization 4 map script, not a Realism Invictus one, so far as I'm aware. It simulates a old world, new world scenario. So all of the civilizations will start in the old world, and the new world will be completely open. It will be empty and ready for colonization. I really like this kind of play style, so hopefully we can survive up till we can colonize the new world. That would be great. But otherwise, looking forward to it. The second thing that I've changed is the map size will be standard, so there's going to be 9 civilizations in the game. It will be a slightly bigger map. Don't worry, turn times will still be perfectly reasonable. I've got a pretty good PC. And then the sea level I've changed to low. I generally find Terra maps have too much water. The navy is obviously still going to be very important. It's just that early on in the game, with everyone being on one continent, I do like to reduce the sea level so there's a bit more room for expansion. And also, as the game progresses, it makes the new world a bit more enticing because it's quite large. I do prefer to reduce the sea level there. But there'll still be a very large sea in between us, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. As far as options go, we're going to be playing with Raging Barbarians, no tech trading, no tech brokering, Holy City migration, and protect valuable units. So all the same options we had with the Mongolia game. However, I have added 4 victory conditions: conquest, domination, cultural, and space race. I'll talk about these more probably in the second episode, and they won't become relevant until a fair bit later into the game, but there you have it. Those are the victory conditions we're going to be playing with. And the final thing I have changed is we are going to be playing one step up from Monarch. We're going to be playing on Emperor. Now, this is a very hard difficulty setting. I know some of you who watch this might play Civilization 4 on Deity or Immortal or whatever, which Emperor is actually lower than. But this is Realism Invictus, and the AI does not mess around. So even on Emperor difficulty, it's going to be pretty damn tough. They're going to start with more units. They're going to receive even higher bonuses to their production, their food income, their commerce. It's going to be pretty nasty. And also, the Barbarians are going to be more active. They're going to get stronger, faster, and they're also going to build their cities a lot quicker as well. Now on Terra, the Barbarians generally are less of an issue because of all of the civilizations being packed onto one continent. But that doesn't mean early on in the game, when borders haven't been established, the Barbarians are still a massive threat. So we'll see what we can do about that. But let's launch the game and see which civilization we get. And depending on our leader for our civilization, and okay, let's take a look at Seleucus I Nicator of the Persian Empire. Now this is pretty interesting because if you watch my 0 AD videos, I've mentioned that the Seleucid Empire is one of my favourite factions in 0 AD. And Seleucus I Nicator is indeed one of the Seleucid kings. So let's take a look-see at the Persian Empire. So we've got Seleucus here. He is a philosophical conqueror. Let's take a look at them. So philosophical gives us 50% great person birth rate, which is really great. I do like that a lot. More great people is obviously nothing to sniff up at. We also get 50% faster production of the Storyteller Circle, the library, the university, the school, and the Ministry of Education. So we get faster production of all of our science buildings, as well as having better great person birth rate. So we might be looking at getting quite a lot of great scientists in our time, which is obviously very good. I do like great scientists. Probably one of my highest rated great people, aside from great engineers, of all the great people. But they have it, personal preference. Our second trait is Conqueror. This gives charge mounted units, armoured units, which are actual like tanks and that kind of thing, and range mounted units, +3 experience points. So with a stables, our cavalry will pop out at level 2, which is pretty significant. So we've got some quite powerful cavalry. We also get a free promotion of siege bombardment for our siege weapons. This will allow our siege weapons to knock down city defences faster. We get +2 to rural logistics, which means we can have more men in a stack outside of our cities, and before they take penalties. So this is pretty significant early on in the game when your armies are restricted to being quite small. So I actually really like that a lot. We also get 50% faster production of the stable, the large stable, and the armament industry. So really a sort of cavalry and siege weapon focused armies, and Conqueror is obviously, like it says on the tin, focused on warfare and conquering other nations. Do quite like that. However, we have our negative trait, which is Schemer. We get -40% Great General Emergence. So we're not actually going to have very many Great Generals, and that means we won't get so many Doctrines or just Great Generals to lead our armies. This may become a problem, simply because if we're focusing on our Conqueror trait, we're going to want to have quite a powerful army, and Great Generals help with that a lot. So a bit of a mixed bag. I'm not sure quite what we'll do with it yet. It might be that we go, I think, great person birth rate. That could help culture a lot if we get a lot of great artists, which would in turn kind of go with a more domination style victory. We could do conquest. Obviously we have a military or militaristic trait, so we could go for a conquest victory. Could also, for example, go for space race with the extra birth rate, and Conqueror will help with that because it will allow us to actually make our empire quite large, which will obviously help with our science generation. So bit of a mixed bag, not sure what to make of that just yet. So let's take a look at our unique units. We have the Persian Immortal, a very iconic unit for the Persian Empire. They are a melee unit. You're allowed 4 of them. They have 4 strength and 1 movement. They provide assault aid and inspiration. They have 0 to 1 first strikes, so they have a first strike chance. They are immune to collateral damage from charge mounted units, which is not bad. They have a 25% strength versus archery units, 25% strength versus melee units, and 50% defense strength versus ranged mounted units. They also start with the promotions of Combat 1, which gives 10% more strength, and March. Now March allows you to heal whilst moving, and also heal more in your opponent's lands. I think it does, yeah. I'm fairly sure that's what it does, but sure, we heal whilst moving, so we don't need to have our army sitting around. The Immortals can continue to move and still be at full strength. Interestingly enough, they require the technologies of archery and bronze working, but do not require any resources. It's very important. I think as far as a early game unit goes, these are actually very powerful. The only thing that they really suffer against is charge cavalry, because whilst they're immune to the collateral damage from them, they don't have a bonus against them. So as long as you have spearmen in your army to protect against charge cavalry, the immortals are pretty damn tough, and can make for some really strong early city raider units. So we'll try get some immortals for sure. Early warfare might definitely be a something on the cards for our nation. Our second unit is the Elephantes Cataphractoi, so I guess the armoured elephant. They're a charge-mounted unit, which is very important with our Conqueror trait, since our charge-mounted units get more experience. We're only allowed 4 of them. They have 8 strength and 1 movement. They provide mobility aid. They inflict fear and fear of elephants. I believe fear of elephants only affects cavalry, but it reduces their strength. It might affect normal units as well, in which case then inflicting both fear and fear of elephants will make these units pretty damn scary, not just in name, but obviously our opponent's stacks or our opponent's cities are going to be taking quite a lot of negatives fighting back our forces. They do not receive defensive bonuses, but they cause collateral damage, a maximum of 30%. They have minus 25% city strength, being quite a large unit, hard to maneuver in a city. But they get 50% strength versus charge-mounted units and 50% strength versus melee units. They also have a flank attack against all pre-Renaissance siege weapons or industrial siege weapons, because they can flank bombards, so they can flank early gunpowder siege weapons, but that's about it. They also start with the cover promotion, which gives them 25% strength versus archery units. They require the technology of elephant taming, but they do not require elephants to build, which is also very, very important. They build faster with elephants, but they don't need elephants to build them, so we are definitely going to have access to elephant units whether we find elephants on the map or not. And the Immortal, we can get access to these guys whether we get copper or not. So we've got 2 very strong classical era units. The elephant, in fact, the elephants can be useful even up into the medieval period. So both of these units are very solid for when they're available. So I do like that a lot. Our unique buildings, we have the palace. I think this is just, the palace isn't any different, it just has a different appearance on the world map. So we've got a nice like art style for our palace, which is pretty cool. We have the Mazda Yazni. This replaces our pagan temple. It provides 1 health and 2 culture, which is already pretty good, but it also heals units an extra 10% damage per turn. So our units will heal faster, which is quite nice. I like that. In fact, 10% healing is quite significant. That's basically the medic promotion. So we may build a couple of these as we you know, we've got early warfare is definitely on the table. So the Mazda Yazni might help us a lot with that. Our next unique building is the Apothecary. This replaces the Clinic. It provides 2 health and 10% more gold in the city. Minus 3% chance of epidemics in the city. We can turn a citizen into a scientist and 1 citizen into a merchant, as well as getting +1 happiness from tobacco. Compared to the standard clinic does not provide the opportunity to get scientists or merchants. It does not provide happiness from tobacco, and it does not give the 10% gold. So the Apothecary is actually an incredibly powerful variant of the clinic. And the time that you get the clinic, which is through the medicine technology, you generally will be having quite a lot of health issues. So this is kind of a building that you would build in most of your large cities. So the 10% extra commerce on top of the health, on top of the epidemic chance, and you know, the extra scientist and merchant is just pretty powerful. The extra scientist and merchant as well combos very nicely with philosophical, which will get us greater birth rates. So a very powerful, unique building, I feel. I think that's a very, very strong, unique building. Comes into play a bit later in the game. This is sort of like mid-Renaissance, late Renaissance, but still pretty good. Our last thing is our unique improvement. We have the commercial plantation. This requires trade, which is a very early on technology. It can be built on dyes, incense, silk, spices, coffee, and tobacco. So basically, this is a plantation that we can build much earlier on in the game, which gives us access to sort of all of the more Middle Eastern luxury or exotic resources, which is really nice because these resources generally go unused for quite some time. We'll get access to them a bit quicker, which is pretty useful. Incense especially, because it allows your temples to provide more happiness. So pretty damn good stuff. Yeah, I like this a lot. Yeah. And also, it provides 1 extra commerce from agricultural machinery, commerce code, farming mechanization, merchant adventures, merchant princes, the slave market, bazaars, caravanserais, fertilizer factories, and import tariffs. So, a sort of early plantation available to us that actually can provide a lot of commerce as the game progresses. So yeah, overall, I really like the Persian Empire. I think they're a very powerful empire, which is no big surprise given that Persia was obviously one of the great powers in the ancient era. And our starting position is looking equally promising. We have rice here and some pigs, which gives us a lot of food to work with. We've got great tiles for cottages. We've got some hills over here as well, and we have some spices as well as this river. So yeah, I actually really like this spot. I think this is a great spot to start with. So let's settle straight away. We have our capital of Persepolis. Now, I think we're going to start by getting a melee warrior, just so we can get some more scouting done. I don't want to scout too heavily, I just want to check our early borders. Well, let's take a look at our early units. Obviously, our earliest units are very important to how we sort of fight in the very early stages of the game. The Melee Militia. These are militia units that have a 25% bonus strength versus short swordsmen, which is actually pretty damn good. And our archers are the Thanvabara. I think they get an extra first strike, and that's about it compared to other archers. I know other archers can actually be a lot better, but oh dear, it's not too bad. We will need to research archery to get our immortals. So oh dear, excuse me. So yeah, that's definitely not bad. I think the Melee Militia in particular are quite good. Yeah, compared to our Sparabara over here, which are spearmen, only 20% versus archery units. So the Melee Militia are actually a fair bit better than the spearmen. Well, I mean, they've got more strength, so that's an advantage. They don't get the bonus versus short swordsmen, but I suppose the immortals will do, since they get a bonus versus all melee units. So I think maybe rushing out the immortals would actually be a pretty solid plan, but we're going to need to get some technology. So let's go for woodworking to get our Melee Militia, and then we'll grab storytelling, agriculture, animal husbandry. I think after that we will go for archery and then bronze working. I think that's going to be our build order. Oh, there's a tribal village right here. Well, aha, and some horses. Nice. Right, there's a tribal village here. Let's pick that up. We got 146 gold, which is very nice. And we've met Carthage. Okay, so there's the Carthaginians. An early war with Carthage may be possible. We would need to get quite a few units to be able to pull that off. And I think that scout is going to pick up that tribal village before us, which kind of sucks. Ah, Carthage has got 2 scouts. Wow, so I guess the Emperor AI must start with 2 scouts. That's pretty unfortunate for us. Right, let's grab. Ooh, what would I like? Persepolis grows in 10. We're gonna get woodworking in 10. Let's see, what could I build that wouldn't take that long? I could build mob justice, which would actually help the city grow a little bit larger early on in the game. You know what, I actually quite like that idea. I think I'm going to go mob justice, and we've met Kublai Khan! Well, greetings Kublai Khan. This was the last leader that we played in our last campaign, so Kublai Khan's in the game. That's pretty cool, I like that. So we get to play against ourselves, I suppose, in one sense of the word. But yeah, we're going to go for an early mob justice. I think this will help our city grow a bit larger. We've got 2 food resources, so I definitely think that can be quite a good idea. There's woodworking. And we've got enough gold to actually boost or turn both of these Mede warriors into... into militia. And by the looks of it, we're quite close to the edge of the continent. And there's Shaka, so we've met Shaka of the Unguni Empire. Let's bring this warrior back so we can upgrade them into... And Gustav II Adolf of Sweden. Well, I say Sweden because he is actually from Sweden, but he's the leader of the Viking Empire. Or one of the leaders of the Viking Empire. So... I think the plan is, we want to get both these guys up to militia rank. And then, so we've got both of those, we just researched storytelling, so let's build a storyteller's circle. Both these guys upgrade to, oh, can we not? How much gold would it cost you to upgrade? 91. You know what, I'm actually willing to burn a few turns worth of research to get this guy up to melee militia. That's why I like getting those early tribal villages. They make a fairly big difference. Right, what would we prefer? Pigs or those? No, I think I'm going to have this militia actually move out and scout a little bit. Not too far from our lands, but certainly a little bit of a distance. And since they're militia, they should be a lot stronger at fighting these barbarians off. So we'll give him land tactics, since we want that to get a bonus fighting barbarian troops. Got a very jungle heavy location. That's not going to be, we won't be able to exploit that for a while. I'm going to move him down here. I want a fog bus there in case there's some fishing resources right there. And I think what we want to go for is... Now we could go for a really early sort of warfare, but I think a worker is definitely the thing we want to go for now. Really early warfare might be a bit ambitious. So there is some fish here, but unfortunately we can't get it because we'd have to settle on that mountain, which is not possible. A city over here for the horses would actually be pretty damn solid. Yeah, an early city for the horses. I might build a city up here, and then a city there, and then a city here. A city here would be nice. They could share the pigs early on in the game and actually work some cottages for us. I think that would be quite solid. We've got some timber over here and some salt, both good resources. I think the horses in particular are going to be very, very nice. I do like to have access to horses. It opens up a few opportunities in terms of... I generally prefer to use horses if I run slavery as a civic, because horsemen are pretty... solid units for keeping slaves in check when they rebel. Anyway, we have the first 50 turns. I'm going to be playing the first 100 because it's the early game, very, very swift. But the most advanced civilizations, Sweden is in third, or the Vikings, I'm going to keep calling them Sweden, but there you go. The Vikings are in third place, with the Carthaginians coming in fourth, which is... possibly, well, it depends. If we want an early war with Carthage, that could be a good thing for us, but it could also equally be a bad thing. So we'll see how that turns out. Let's get this warrior to protect those pigs, so we can now get our worker to go and improve that tile. And we're going to want to train some more militia now that we've... We should win this fight as they come over the river. We've got a huge bonus versus archers. Yeah, the fortification and the crossing river bonus there. So that was an easy win for us. We've now got archery. I'd like to build a couple of archers. In fact, I'm going to build 3 archers. We should beat these savages. We should do. I think it's worth risking the worker to get a few extra turns on building that pasture. The sooner we get that pasture, the better, really. That was worrying, that was. Now, this militia should be able to win that, so I'm going to just let him stay there. I'm sure he can beat that savage. Excellent stuff. Yeah, it should be an easy win against this archer as well. Oh, that was... Oh, I really steel myself every time I see our city get attacked by those barbarians. Now these primitives, 1 strength and 40% attack, minus 40% attacking cities, so I'm not really worried about them. We did get these pigs hooked up, I think, by the river. Yeah, so now that we've got that hooked up on the river, we don't need to worry about those so much. Persepolis should be able to grow a fair amount now. We're going to start working on this farm, but as soon as the barbarians get too close, we'll move back into the city. So Persepolis is now grown to size 3, which is good stuff. Our militia should be able to win that. I'm going to move back over to production, because we want to get some more units out pretty soon, so we can work some more tiles. Every time. I have to steel myself in case we just instantly lose the game. Now I might have to pull this militia back into the city. We're going to pop a new militia in the city, so if this archer attacks, we'll actually have another unit to protect us against them. I'm going to move this militia over here just to guard against this bowman. And now I'm going to move him... I'm going to move the experienced one back into the city. Actually, I might move them both back into the city. And they didn't move on to the pigs, so that gives me a little bit of hope. I mean, now they moved both those archers onto those pigs there. There's 3 bowmen, damn it. What I'm going to do is the experienced guy is going to attack. And what this will do is, because we're attacking a stack of units, he's going to remain inside of the city. He did actually win that quite easily. And then the next guy is going to move out onto the pig pasture. And we won that without too much damage taken, so we should be able to hold the city here. Right, let's move him back into the city, because those pigs are on a open tile. Which means if the barbarians continuously move onto that tile, we can just attack them, and then we're pretty assured of victory. The reason I'm training 3 archers is I want an archer and a spearman to be guarding my outside tiles, so we get the ranged aid bonus. Right, let's move this spearman down there. Let's have this worker move back out to start building that farm up again. Well, we built our first archer. It's good stuff. We want to attack these barbarians there, so let's grab both these units and just get rid of those archers. Good stuff. And I'm going to have that archer protect Persepolis for now. That spearman can stay there, and this guy can help protect the city. Should be an easy win there. He's got about 100% strength versus barbarian archers, so he's on about 4 strength or so, protecting that tile. Keep building that that farm up. Let's move this spearman down here. There was 2 barbarians I noticed, so I thought I'd best move the other spearman to give us a bit more of a chance of victory. And it looks like it was a good move since our other militia took quite a lot of damage. Being attacked by some primitives. No problems there. And we got ourselves our first great general. I'm going to actually leave him in the city. The reason why is I am probably going to want to use this great general. Actually, let's move the militia with land tactics, but no bonus versus barbarians into the city. I'm actually going to move this archer outside the city as well. We're going to have to actually kind of build a path to connect this rice up. Yep, keep on connecting that rice. Excellent stuff. We haven't lost any of our early battles yet, which is perfect. Excellent stuff. Right, so we're making good progress protecting our lands against the barbarians. I'm going to swap back over to food. We would like Persepolis to grow a couple more times so we can use some more tiles. Would like to get some mines up actually, so let's move this group onto here. We can still protect the farm from that tile, but I want to get some mines so we can have some production for when we possibly or potentially go to war. So I'll have them move up onto that hill there. And if the barbarians decide to move onto the farm, we can just beat them up because they'll be out in the open. So now that we've done that, I would actually like to build, let's see, a granary wouldn't be a terrible idea. Yeah, let's build a granary. Have that archer protect the city. Good stuff. And Persepolis now needs to go onto a production focus so we can get that granary built. Keep getting that mine up, please. And we're on our way to getting bronze working. And then we can build our immortals and a barracks. Now if we do that, we'll have some pretty powerful city raiding units. But that is the end of the episode. We're 100 turns in. We're having pretty good success holding off the barbarians. We haven't lost any units yet. Got quite a nice city to start our expansions from. Funnily enough, the largest civilizations of the world, the Vikings are up there at the top. Someone we don't know is at the very top. Kublai Khan's just under that, and then Carthage is just under that. Something I want to note, let's just get that worker to carry on building that mine. The Mongolian Empire is only at 0.9 strength, so the Mongols probably built an early settler, I'm thinking. Carthage probably did as well, but it's possible because Kublai Khan is creative. He actually decided to build more culture buildings early on in the game. And the Unguni actually really like us, which is, yeah, I mean, we must have their favourite civic picked. But regardless, that'll be the end of the episode. So, it's been me, Chaff Commander Coffee. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.